honestly, VP are a team that should be able to pick up 6 rounds on the CT side, regardless of who they play.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree. I think it was VP's to lose, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And they will be kicking themselves. We did wonder how that would affect them coming into this best of 3, if it would kind of play on their minds if they perform poorly. As we've been speaking there, I believe the 9th round has came and gone. We are going to have Cloud9 on the T side. Virtus.pro occupying CTs. They have drew first blood here from Taz. Gets himself 3 and a 4th kill as well. Beautiful play from him. And he's actually hungry for that 5th. Sean Gers gets the upper hand and will spoil the party. But still, Virtus.pro, great pistol round.
Great pistol round. Taz just showing a bit of that magic that we've seen from him so often. I mean, back in 2013, Taz was probably, you know, a top 3 player in the world. Not many would regard him as that, you know, at this point in time, but we still know that he can definitely pull it out once it really matters. And you know, again, talking about mentality, you know, you touched on the point there, the fact that, you know, even though Virtus.pro might get behind early on in a game, they still have that stayer, you know, mentality, and they stick around. You basically have to finish off VP in order to win a game, and with them actually making a sensational comeback on Nuke, that has to play so well for them going into Inferno, and Taz opening up like that, you know, that's the dream start really for VP.
That definitely is. And Taz is the kind of guy as well that, you said this before we went live, he's the spirit almost of Virtus.pro. If this guy's performing, the rest of them will become inspired, they will rally behind him. Yeah, can really drive forward.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, a bit cheesy, but you know, VP's spirit animal is Taz.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So when he gets off going to a good start, that's absolutely great for them. He's going to be able to hype up the rest of the guys, and they're going to be really focused to, you know, close in and actually shut Cloud9 completely out. Right now, we're seeing, you know, the very typical Tech9 armor buy from Cloud9. A couple of smokes just mixed in there as well, so we might going to see a pretty standard execute towards the bomb site here.
But they're playing with every single second here. I mean, you've got sub 30 seconds, and they still haven't really committed to anything. I mean, you assume it's going to be A because they simply can't rotate back to B and get that bomb planted in this kind of time frame. But they're really leaving this the very last moments. Taz is going to line them up, but he gets knocked down. He'll be probably very disappointed with that. But here comes Bialy, gets himself 2 and a 3rd as well. And that's all on Semphis. He does get the kill, and he's got enough time to plant the bomb as well. This is a pretty impressive round from Cloud9 there. They do lose the round, but still, the damage has been done surely there.
Oh, absolutely, and if it hadn't been for Bialy picking up that 3 kill, you know, just in a matter of seconds, that could have gone horribly for VP. Cloud9, you know, as you said, they spent a lot of time just sitting around, really, waiting for the right moment, and they actually picked a brilliant moment to actually push on, because that was the exact same time as VP rotated one player over towards that B bomb site, because it's not uncommon for people, especially like a team like Na'Vi, to just sit there and wait until there's like 15 seconds left and then do a sudden push and then execute towards the B bomb site, and it seems like that was what VP was expecting.
I'm just kind of surprised that Taz didn't get more bang for his buck, because they did line up for him.
Yeah, and Pasha there making a bit of a mistake, turning his back,
yeah,
you know, for reloading, not expecting Shroud to be that close up, and you know, any free kill that Cloud9 can pick up during these eco rounds is a massive win for them.
That's very true. They have already broken the deadlock with that first frag onto Pasha, who was a man that did perform very well in the previous best of 3. He had I wouldn't necessarily say a silent nuke, but I think it was more around Michu performing pretty damn well, and you know, the rest of the team, Bialy was getting a lot of spray downs as well. Neo was also chiming in. Everyone was kind of pulling their own weight. No one really stood out to me.
Yeah, it was just a solid team effort, really, overall. Especially, you know, as the later stages of the game, everyone seemed to pick up an important rounds.
We're going to see a rush in right now from Cloud9. Taz is going to be bagging himself another triple. Beautiful work from him. He's hungry for a 4th kill. It's going to be Michu that puts Shroud down, and Virtus.pro quick fire 3-0. Cloud9 will be buying up this round, looking to bounce back.
Yeah, and even though Cloud9 didn't, you know, pick up any rounds in, you know, with their eco rounds, still pretty solid damage done to the economy of VP. Managed to pick up 3 and, you know, 2 kills in their respective eco rounds. That's not a bad start at all. So now it really comes down to whether or not Cloud9 are able to do, you know, similar things with weapons.
Well, this is really where it counts. They have to start the Juggernaut going down the tracks right here, right now. Cloud9 And of course, they are 1-0 if you've just joined us. Nuke went 16-13 in the end to Virtus.pro. It would be a disappointing result for Cloud9, and now with weapons they have tried to force their way through. But again, they find themselves in a 3v1 stacked against them. Semphis has a lot of time to play with, though. Over a minute. The bomb's been dropped in a precarious position, and now he's going to try and push through. Halls, I really don't fancy his chances, especially considering Neo's there, but he actually gets the headshot onto Neo, and still that time is in his favour.
Yeah, he's got a lot of time to work with. That's a superb nade. Puts Semphis down to 7 HP. But, you know, as you pointed out, really, the problem is the position of the bomb. It's going to be so hard for Semphis to actually pick up that bomb without having to turn his back at some point to one of the VP members.
I was about to say, you can almost hear the dreams being crushed when that grenade exploded. Down to 7 hit points. 4-0, and that's a round I feel that Cloud9 needed to win to start getting the momentum back in their favour and believing again. I do wonder how their confidence is feeling after that first map, because all things considered, they actually performed really damn well. You know, we were talking about their T strats. I was blown away by them. I really enjoyed watching Cloud9's T attack. The problem now is, though, that because they ended the map really softly, it doesn't bode well for their Inferno performance, and we're seeing already that it's 4-0, more than likely going to become 5-0. This could quickly get out of hand.
It really could, and you know, Cloud9 are known as a team that could, you know, at times get out of it, you know, and start getting down on themselves, and they don't really have that one guy to actually bring them back up, and they really need to get going early on.
This is going to be an eco bash, you have to feel, and indeed it will be. They lost the one player in the form of Michu, but VP moved to 5-0, and this is something that we saw previously in the tournament as well, that VP on Inferno, if they're feeling it on CT side, they completely lock down mid, and they don't give you any room to breathe. It's very claustrophobic for the T side in those situations, and that's what Cloud9's finding out the hard way.
Yeah, and right now we're seeing something that, you know, is very typical for Cloud9 on their T side. They have Shazam picking up that all. In their games, in the matchup in Katowice, actually, Pasha had one nade that he threw into mid every single round, and every single round Shazam ran into that nade and just basically gave away, you know, 30 to 35 HP for free every single time without getting anything from it. So, you know, simple mistakes like that can obviously help you a long way, and nothing picking up the entry frag on Michu right there. It's going to do lots for you.
It's definitely going to go some way to clawing this one back, but they're going to need to go a few steps further than just the one frag. We saw a Nuke a couple of times they got the first kill, but then Virtus.pro bounced back in the best possible way with a couple of their own, and there we go. Bjarly silences Shazam. He was, for me, the standout player, I think it's safe to say, on Nuke for Cloud9. Pulled off some crazy AWP shots. Was just seemingly all over the board.
Absolutely, he played a brilliant Nuke, and you know, if you want to get some reference points for how he's done versus VP on Inferno, again, going back to Katowice, he struggled mightily versus VP on Inferno last time they played, and he hasn't gotten off to the greatest start right now either, so, you know, we talked about him being fairly, you know, inconsistent in his performance, and that could be an issue for Cloud9, because they definitely need everyone to contribute in a big way if they want to beat VP.
Well, that's exactly it. They need everyone to pull their weight. It wasn't necessarily that anyone was playing terribly, it's just almost like a team they were kind of faltering in certain aspects of their CT side, and we're now seeing that they are getting dropped like flies. Semphis and Shroud all that remain, but not for long. And Virtus.pro again with a very confident round, only losing one. You can see their bank is starting to build up nicely as well.
Yeah, and you know, even that was even with Cloud9 picking up the entry frag, which is normally, you know, tends to cause rotations from the CT side. The thing about Virtus.pro though, and one thing that they're very known to do, is basically just leave Neo on the B bomb side all by his lonesome, and that's because Neo is such a smart player that he's actually able to, you know, get just enough amount of information without taking lethal damage and making himself an easy target for people pushing up towards Banana. And VP are able to basically just have full faith in Neo and not having to rotate off of that A bomb site.
Look at this crossfire as well on towards me. They've got 3 players scouting the area out. Bjarly has been heavily tagged. There is Semphis with the kill. He's going to need to rinse and repeat onto A site, which is the bomb of choice, I should say, onto A. Again, they find themselves a player down. Pasha with that final frag. Back onto Shroud this time around. Shazam, nice shot onto Pasha. It's going to try and get the bomb planted. Needs to be very careful though, because Michu is laying in wait. And it's quickly became 7-0, and it's one-way traffic. There's really not too much to talk about right here.
No, I mean, Cloud9 are in a really rough spot at this point, and on Nuke we saw, you know, the back and forth trading between CT rounds and T rounds the entire time. so far this has just been, you know, a one-team show. It's been Virtus.pro pretty much mauling Cloud9. I think actually that previous round we just saw was the closest Cloud9 have actually gotten to actually pick it up around, and that says a lot.
Yeah, pretty much. And even then, there's 2 players still standing on the side of Virtus.pro, both on very healthy amounts of hit points. Again, it's going to be like they're like a broken record at this point. They just keep going for A over and over again, and it's not really working for them. I guess maybe that previous round gave them a bit of confidence. As you said, it has been the closest that they've really came, so they're feeling like maybe there are some things to exploit, but the bomb is going up to B right here, and it's the interference being caused from Cloud9. They're actually on the site trying to bait this one off, and so far so good for them, as Michu has been dropped, and now they found out the bomb has been planted, and it doesn't seem that Neo realizes that this is actually on B from his movement. He's still moving towards A.
And right about now he realizes that, you know, all hope is over. Actually, he hasn't realized it.
He thinks it's still on A.
Yeah. And now, you know, it's sunk in. And at this point, you know, it's already way too late. And when you were talking about it, Cloud9 really looked like a broken record, you know, just taking aim duels in mid over and over again. It hasn't really worked out properly this time around, though. They do actually break that deadlock and manage to get further into mid. And, yeah, finally signs of life from the North Americans.
They almost took that predictability, which is a weakness, and made it a strength. Saying, yeah, we're going to keep bombarding mid to A, bombard it, and Virtus.pro like, okay, cool, we'll just stack A, and then they just send this sneaky player up to B and end up winning the round. So, in a way, I've got to give mad props there to Cloud9. That was impressive. Yeah. And especially after 7 rounds getting battered, to have that clarity of mind to just say, no, we're going to try something different here, I definitely appreciate that play.
Yeah, and that's good to see, because, you know, we were raving about how well they played the T-side on Nuke, and we would expect something similar here on Inferno, and this was the first round we actually saw something similar to it.
Well, they are trying to bully their way up Banana, but it hasn't worked.
And again, you can see, you know, Neo getting out of there with an, you know, with an opening frag, and he didn't take that much damage at all, really. So this is what Neo's so good at. He can be a constant nuisance to people working towards getting control of a Banana, but he's so elusive.
Yeah, very difficult to pin down, and so are Virtus.pro at this point. You can see that Cloud9, they are almost like ants. They're just trying to get around every nook and cranny, trying to cause as many different angles as possible onto the defenders, but Virtus.pro, they're digging in deep. They are not falling for any of these tactics. Again, it looks like it's going to be a force onto A. All 4 players rushing through. 30 seconds to go. Jolly through the smoke, gets himself a double. In fact, the smoke was slightly off, and Pasha chimes in for a kill, and actually ends up killing himself. Was that a grenade? Or did he dive from his Molotov?
I think he actually ran into his own Molotov.
Yep, barbecued himself. That's awkward.
I mean, yeah, it's exactly like you said, you know, and pointing out that smoke being off, you know, just by a smidge. That's all it takes, and BL takes full advantage of it. And you have to, you know, that's one of the things Cloud9 got a lot of criticism for during Katowice, so the fact that, you know, it didn't seem like they actually knew that many smokes, and everyone wasn't really on the same page when it comes to, you know, knowing what they're doing at any given time. And right there is a prime example of some things you absolutely need to know how to do with 100% certainty.
I fully agree. They're going to try something different. That is an all-out B rush, but it's lambs to the slaughter. Neo's got himself 4 frags in as many seconds, and now it's all on Shroud, and he feels the force of Neo, who picks up a clean ace and actually finishes the round on about 60 hit points. Just to add, Vendetta, I've got to ask you, is there anything that's really standing out to you about Cloud9 that they could improve on right here to maybe get towards 5 or 6 rounds?
Well, I think we've kind of touched on it already, the fact that they do start initially the buy rounds doing the same thing over and over again. They got away with it once, and actually, you know, forcing an unnecessary rotation from Virtus.pro, because Virtus.pro are basically realizing the same thing as we do, the fact that they're doing the same thing over and over again. So putting some aggression towards B during buy rounds, that would probably a good idea, just to make sure that Virtus.pro are kept on their toes.
Well, they are going to be going for Tech 9s and a P250. Samphis with a bit of armor. They've got smoke and 2 flashes on nothing. Flashbang on Sean Gez, and more than a minute to play with. However, they find themselves up against 5 M4s, and I don't recall Pasha using an AWP this entire best of 3 so far.
No, he actually hasn't. And what we're going to see from Cloud9 now is most likely nothing smoking out the car, where you can see Bialy's right next to and Taz as well. And having 2 pop flashes come over from quad, hoping to blind the 2 defenders right there from VP, while, you know, the rest of them come storming out.
Molly is just keeping everybody in place. There's nothing that Cloud9 can do about that one. The 30 seconds on the timer or thereabouts. Now Neo is just ripping into Apps. Again, a clear-cut round. Just Pasha dropping 10-1. And I mean, it's a CT favoured map, but Virtus.pro are making this look simple.
Oh, they really are, and I mean, obviously it's a bit of unfortunate timing, you know, if you look at it from the side of Cloud9, the fact that that Molotov goes down the second Cloud9 are about to execute, whether or not that's information that VPS picked up at some point or not, you know, nothing's really going in the favour of Cloud9 at any stage of the game.
It definitely appears to be the case. Molotov lands on the cart. Neo is there with the AWP of his own, so again, he is opting for this weapon. Oh, he doesn't get the shot that he was hoping for onto nothing. It's a nice running headshot there from him. And that is going to force a player to come over, which will be Pasha, to try and fill in the gap. Rotate back towards A. They must assume that Pasha's joined the ranks here on B and left A weak, but they're still kind of chilling out in Banana, and they're going to get paid. I can't believe that Michu actually managed to get that frag. That's really surprising to me.
Yeah, that was a bit of a, you know, what we would call a JW move in Scandinavia. Basically, just like running through the smoke without any sort of indication that, you know, that would happen. No pop flashes, no anything really, and it pays off big for them.
Oh my god, Michu just absolutely. That's a nightmare for Cloud9. He does finally die to Semphis, so he's not going to get his ace. Got 4 frags before falling, but I'm kind of blown away that he got 4 kills without losing a single point.
Yeah, I mean, it basically seemed like he made the right 4 times, which is something that should never happen. And unfortunately for Cloud9, right now, they did something they've done in one round previously, which was they got the entry frag onto Neo in Banana, but they don't do anything with it. They don't have an immediate push after. They kind of just stick around in Banana and wait. And the same thing happened the previous time as well, except that time, you know, one of them actually got flashed out, picked up 2 frags in Banana, and that was pretty much the end of that round. And this time, it's Michu just, you know, popping up through smokes.
Well, nothing tried to rush through after flashing, but pretty much flashed himself and got shot down by Pasha anyway. And now Sean Gares once again finds it himself in a position he's definitely not wanting to be, and Neo just spins around, headshots him down 12-1. They do have enough to buy up. Shazam with the AWP. But again, for Cloud9, no one's really stepped out to me. No one's really elevated it to that next level.
No, on Inferno it's been a pretty lackluster performance from Cloud9. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And, you know, we talked about Shazam having struggles versus VP, especially haven't, you know, been able to get anything done with an AWP. It's not like he's had the opportunity to buy an AWP all that often so far, but, you know, you'd like to see him actually be able to open up at least mid or, you know, somewhere on the map for Cloud9 if he's going to invest that heavily into that weapon.
And let's remember as well here, Vendetta, that it's not even a case that you can say, oh, well, it's a CT favored map. I mean, it's not a 12-3 kind of map anyway to start with. But Virtus.pro were winning against NIP 10-5 on T side.
Yeah, and that's
so
there's
no respite at all here for Cloud9.
I mean, yeah, Cloud9 know that they're in a very deep hole. Luckily for them, they've been able to, you know, find an opening towards the B bomb site. Unfortunately, though, the bomb is dropped in pit. So this is the kind of the day that Cloud9 is having, and Bialy very aware of the situation, so he's just going to hold the angle and basically wait for Cloud9 to make a move here.
They do have the player advantage in the rounds that you simply have to win if you want to pull back a sensational comeback. And so far, it's not looking like it's going to happen just yet. Sean Gares narrowly escapes with his life, 28 HP. That grenade was very close to landing. Shazam misses. The shot gets it on the second time of asking, and Cloud9 do get their second round on the board. Need to win this and then get the pistol round, or it's pretty much GG. Yeah,
that is just the name of the game at this point. And you know, as you know, at the same point as we call out Shazam for not having an impact really on Inferno so far, picks up 3 big frags for them, especially the one on Michu through the smoke. Absolutely massive for them. And again, you know, forcing Virtus.pro to make rotations that they don't want to make is absolutely essential for Cloud9.
Well, Neo in Banana does have a lot of enemies coming his way. Gets one frag there, Sean Gez though, and will execute him. Looks like all 4 players are going to go ahead and jump on top of this. I was going to say they're going to jump on top of this advantage, but it's pretty much a very, very quick rotation from Pasha. He's now second-guessing himself, going back to Speedway. He's keeping himself in close enough proximity that he can easily maneuver his way through CT if needs be, and now the push is in effect. A minute on the timer. There's Michu from Coil. Semphis with a beautiful one click to the forehead, and now Pasha stands tall. He's got himself one, spraying. He doesn't get the kill, and Shazam roars on in with the Tech 9. Maybe Cloud9 can just about clutch this round out yet. Grenade falling short from Taz, spraying through the smoke. 40 seconds. Shazam will get the upper hand with the AWP shot, and now Bjarly in a 1v2. He's got 100% of his HP. He's got a defuse kit, and he's got a flashbang. This is definitely doable from him. And neither of the Cloud9 players, they have now, I was just about to say, neither of them were looking towards Garden. I was super scared in case they tried to plant, and then Bjarly got the double kill.
I sat with the exact same feeling as you did, because I was thinking, well, maybe Shazam is just going to, both are going to continue to watch towards that city spawn, and nobody's actually going to notice that Bjarly's already snuck around. Luckily for the Cloud9, they managed to end the first half on a good note with 2 rounds in a row, so that is something that they can take with them. But obviously, they don't really have much of a buffer at all, so they have to pick up the pistol around here.
Oh, that's it. It's pretty much do or die at this point.
Yeah, every round from this point on is massively important for Cloud9. And, you know, not to state the obvious, but, you know, that is the reality of it.
The thing is, even if they win this pistol round and, you know, best case scenario, they win the next 2 rounds after that, they have to win pretty much every round from here on in flawlessly. Even if they win and lose 2 weapons, that's still not good enough, because the bank will eventually come back to bite them in the rear end. So it has to be a flawless performance, and Pasha has quickly shut down this attempt from Cloud9. It's a 5-on-2. And Shazam and Sean Gez, all that stands between Virtus.pro an almost certain victory, and taking the 3rd place here at the Gifinity Masters Spring #1. And they do it with style. They don't lose a single play on the pistol round.
Yeah, I mean, they barely even take damage. That first initial frag that Taz had onto the Cloud9 player in Arch, you know, there's not really much you can do about it. He's just coming up guns blazing with the Tech 9, and all he needs is 1 bullet. So, and then obviously Pasha doing a great job there, picking up both of the rotations, which in my opinion is a bit of an over-rotation, and you should never really rotate both of your plays from the B side down Banana without, you know, having absolute confirmation that, you know, everyone from VP is not anywhere in the vicinity. This is actually pretty cool from Cloud9, a bit of an unusual tower we're seeing right now.
Yeah, just trying to catch Virtus.pro well and truly off guard. Maybe expecting that the smoke or a fast rush was coming in. Semphis stands tall. Does get the kill on Neo, and the second peek as well. Very nicely done by him, but Bjarly will take him down. It's a nice trade though. The damage has been done. Now the rest of Cloud9 need to try and fill in the gaps here, fill in the blanks. 5-7s and a P250 on the side with some armor thrown into the mix. This isn't an impossible situation for them to clutch, but again, it's about getting everything from this point onwards.
Yeah, and at a certain point in a situation like this, I would rather see them actually try to stack a bomb site just to increase the chances of actually getting something done. They do have 2 players here, so they could put up a good fight here.
It's all going to be on this next frag, I have to feel, and it doesn't go in the hands of Cloud9. Michu with a little headshot to Sean Gez. Eliminates him from the equation. Bjarly with the AK-47, seen it so many times in this BO3 already that he just comes in and gets the picks. That's a bomb plant, and now suddenly from a 4-on-2, a 4-on-3 I should say, it's a 3-on-2. Back to a 2-on-2. Shroud is saying we're not quite out of this game just yet, but he's been dropped from Bjarly. 14-3, and they did commit to that round as well, Vendetta. That wasn't like a full-on eco. They bought 5-7s, they bought some armor as well, so you can see again, economy is not fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm actually quite surprised. Well, obviously they want to play for the win and not play for overtime, but you know, they could have taken that 1 more eco and actually had Masters in their round or something to that effect. Again, I think what Nothing did right there, you know, it's admirable because he wants to delay pretty much the bomb plant from VP and buy some time for his, you know, time for his teammates to rotate. But at that point, when you lose your other mate on the site that quickly, you pretty much just have to give up the bomb site and hope for the best in a retake with all of your teammates really, and go 3-on-3.
Virtus.pro just pretty much like strolling through mid, no retaliation, no resistance whatsoever. And I guess it's understandable when you're against pistols and a force by Semphis again. Does get the kill with a CZ, but suddenly just a spray of AK rounds meet them. And it has brought it to a 3-on-1. Sean Gares, how many times has he been in these clutch situations? He must hate his life right now. It's best of 3, and it's the same exact result. He's been, I mean, Nuke, I think it was 4 or 5 times we saw. It's the same on Inferno as well. It just, he's just not much chance.
No, I mean, you're not left with much of a hope really in a situation like that, and you know that it also kind of wanes on you when you know you have to rotate from your bomb site constantly, and only to find yourself in a pretty much hopeless situation. It's not a fun place to be in, and right now Virtus.pro can have 12 match points, and they couldn't dream of a better scenario.
You got Mag 7, 2 Scouts, CZ, and a 5-7. Semphis has got himself 3 or 4 kills in the last couple rounds of that CZ. He's been doing work with it. Unfortunately, though, it's pretty much the only person that has been getting frags for his team. And this would be the comeback of a lifetime if Cloud9 pulled it back from this point. It would be 12 rounds on the bounce just to take it on overtime.
Yeah, and could you imagine VP's mentality if that were to happen, given what happened versus NIP in the semi-finals? I think that would just, scar them for life and would never see VP play Inferno again.
It would be a much worse defeat than what they suffered at the hands of NIP on this map previously today. This would be the insult to injury, I'd have to feel. And Bjorli has opened up with his AK-47, adding another kill to his account.
Yeah, and with those 2 stick out, you'd hope to see maybe a tiny bit more aggression from Cloud9 and trying to soften up the VP members before they actually commit to a site. And well, as I say that, shots being fired, and just like that, VP take it away.
Yep, so there's not much to say. 16-3.